What's happening, my Jack family? Coach Scott here, jackedafter40.com and shreddedafter40.com. In today's video, we're going to talk about 3 mistakes that men over 40 make when their fat loss stalls and how to correct those mistakes. Mistake number 1 is that they increase their activity levels and end up running themselves into the ground. Mistake number 2 is that they think that simply changing their macronutrient ratio is all that's needed in order to break through that fat loss plateau. Number 3 is that they drastically reduce their calories and again end up running themselves into the ground. So what should you do to correct it? Let's get to it now. If you enjoyed this video, please do me a favor and smash that thumbs up button. I'd really appreciate it. And if you know a fellow bro who would benefit from watching today's video, do him a favor and share it with them. Now, before making any changes, you first got to ask yourself, is this really a fat loss stall? How long has it been going on? Is it only 3 days, 4 days? Because I see some people panic when it's only been 4 days and the scale weight hasn't changed. A week isn't enough to really consider a fat loss stall. If your weight hasn't changed in 2-3 weeks, all right, okay, your fat loss has officially stalled. And typically it doesn't go from like dropping 1.5 pounds or 2 pounds per week to completely stalled. Usually there's a sign where it starts to gradually slow down as you're going through your fat loss phase. So if it's been gradually getting slower and slower, you were consistently losing 1.5 pounds per week, then you're only losing 1 pound a week, now you're only losing like 0.7 pounds per week, and everything in your lifestyle is the same, yeah, chances are you've been at a fat loss stall. But if it's only a few days or a week, don't stress, just keep everything consistent, give it some time, trust the process, and then evaluate in a couple of weeks to really be sure that you are truly in a fat loss stall. The other thing you need to do before making any changes to your diet is to evaluate your lifestyle, starting with sleep. Has your sleep changed at all during this time that you've been in a fat loss plateau? If you were getting great sleep before and now you're getting inadequate amount of sleep, that can be the huge culprit here that is causing your body to hold on to some more fat. Same thing with stress. Maybe you've got a big work project that you're working on right now that's causing greater stress in your life, and that could be the culprit that is causing you to hold on more body fat, making it more challenging for you to release that fat from your body. And the other thing is just to look at your overall lifestyle and really realize, like, are you sitting more during this time where you've hit this fat loss plateau? Are you binge watching a series on Netflix or something like that? Little things that you're just not piecing together. Maybe you just had a lazy weekend. Yeah, maybe just overall neat. Maybe you're on your feet less. Maybe you stopped working at a stand-up desk and you've been sitting a little bit more at a desk instead. All these little things can really have a huge contribution to your overall caloric burn at the end of the day, and can have a big impact on whether or not you hit a fat loss plateau or not. And the last thing to consider before making any changes is, have you been diligent with your tracking? Have you been logging everything that's going in your mouth, or have you become a little bit more relaxed with it? Maybe a little casual, you're not measuring your food in there. There could be some hidden calories that you aren't aware of. Even just a little snacking, you're preparing dinner and you take a few little bites of things. Maybe you're snacking on some stuff while you're preparing dinner because you're really hungry at this point. Little things, even just licking the spoon, maybe picking some food off of your kid's plate because they didn't finish it and you don't want it to go to waste. Little things that you're not logging, those things can add up. So rather than guess if you are where you're at and you need to make changes right now, it can just be get back to diligent tracking, make sure you know where you're at, and that simple act can be enough to really get you back on point and breaking through this fat loss plateau. Now let's address mistake number 1, which is increasing your activity level, which seems like a good idea, move more to burn more, but what I find is a lot of my fellow men over 40 who are aiming to get shredded after 40, get lean after 40, they're already living pretty active lifestyles. They're working out 5 times per week, they're walking often, they typically do some form of cardiovascular conditioning, maybe it's jogging, biking, using the stair climber 3 times a week. They live a pretty active lifestyle, and when their fat loss stalls, they make that mistake of trying to increase it to a point where it runs them into the ground. It starts having a negative impact on their weight training, and they end up being less active throughout the day, enjoying life less than what they were previously, and that is not a fair trade-off whatsoever. I experienced this myself when prepping for my first bodybuilding competition. I was on the stair climber first thing in the morning. It would actually sacrifice my sleep for it. I'd get up at 4:30 in the morning in order to get to the gym to do that stair climber, do my weights later in the day, and then do stair climbing afterwards. 5, 6, 7 days a week of stair climbing. And I found that outside of those gym training sessions, that kind of planned exercise, I didn't want to do any other activity. I was not living my life to the fullest. I just wanted to sit on my butt and do nothing. So although I may have burned a few hundred extra calories during those cardio sessions, the rest of the day, I was moving less and burning less calories, doing all the fun things that I typically enjoy in a day. So I was making drastic sacrifices there, and not only was I not moving more, my weight training sessions were suffering, especially my leg workouts. I was not recovering from my leg training sessions. My legs were always sore. I wasn't able to give the best of myself to those weight training sessions. So chances were, not only was I not getting the most out of my workouts in terms of even just muscle preserving potential or even muscle building potential from those workouts, which is kind of less likely when you're in a caloric deficit, but I wasn't burning as many calories from those workouts because I wasn't able to hit as many repetitions. I wasn't able to lift the same kind of weight. My strength was diminishing. My endurance was diminishing. So increasing that activity seems like a good idea at the time, but in the big picture, you end up burning less calories overall. So, and a lot of times you kind of dread those extra sessions. It just doesn't suit your lifestyle. It becomes a drag. And this Jacked After 40 lifestyle is about living your life to the fullest. Your weight training, your diets, your activity should enhance your life, complement all areas of your life. It shouldn't take away from it. What I recommend to my fellow men over 40 is to keep your activity levels consistent year round. Live your life to the fullest, getting outdoors, doing activities that you thoroughly enjoy with your family, with your friends, with your loved ones. Just have this incredible zest for life where you want to explore, you want to be moving, you want to get the most out of life in addition to your weight training sessions, and a few cardiovascular sessions a week is fantastic for improving your overall cardiovascular health, your circulatory health. So those kind of benefits are fantastic from that. But any more than that, you got to be very aware of how that's going to impact your overall lifestyle, your overall zest for life, your overall well-being. You don't want to be running yourself into the ground. So whether you're in fat loss mode, whether you're in maintenance mode, whether you're trying to build muscle, live an enjoyable, active lifestyle. That should be your goal. It shouldn't be like, all right, I want to burn fat, I better move more. You should be moving more all the time, but in a smart, intelligent manner, doing fun activities, playing some sports. Again, just get out paddleboarding, get out walking, get out biking, just hiking, some fun activities with your family, friends, and loved ones. That's what this is all about. That will complement your weight training sessions. It's all great forms of active recovery. It's great for your mental well-being at all. It's stuff that you look forward to. It's stuff that you are enjoying. Again, that's what this Jacked After 40 lifestyle is all about. So don't increase your activity beyond that with like planned cardiovascular conditioning or trying to do 7 workouts a week instead, thinking that's going to be better than 5 workouts a week. Like, structure intelligently, pay attention to your body's recovery and just how it's impacting your mood and overall active lifestyle. Now let's move on to mistake number 2, which is thinking that simply changing your macro ratio while keeping your calories the same is all that you're going to need in order to bust through this fat loss plateau. Now that rarely ever happens. It does happen on occasion, but it is very rare to see this happen. It's usually in some extreme cases. Maybe your protein intake was ridiculously low and you significantly increased it, and you'll experience an extra caloric burn because of that thermic effect of the food. It takes more calories to digest protein than it would carbohydrates, so you may experience an overall greater caloric burn from that. It's not going to be hugely significant. You would need a drastic increase in that in protein in order to see that happen. So don't, unless you are in that extreme end, don't expect to see any kind of changes. And even then, you're not going to see, it's not going to be a drastic change on the scale just from that one change in your diet. Now, some people may have some sensitivities to carbohydrates and certain foods there that if you manipulate your macronutrient ratio and you reduce your carbs a little bit, it may cause some improvements with your digestive system that may end up causing you to feel better. Maybe you're holding on to bloat. Maybe you're holding on to some water weight because of it. Maybe you're experiencing some sort of inflammation, which was causing you to hold on to some water weight because of some of those food sensitivities. Again, I think this has just been blown way out of proportion in this past decade. It seemed like everyone for a while thought they had some sort of sensitivity to breads and glutens and dairy and all that stuff. And although some people do, I'd say the vast majority of of people, it's not going to have a significant impact on you. So again, don't go making the mistake of thinking that just simply changing your macronutrient ratio is going to produce is going to help you blast through this fat loss plateau. Yes, what you want to do is make some macronutrient changes. It helps to have a heightened sense of awareness if your fat loss plateaus. Maybe you do increase your protein intake while reducing your calories, and do so in a way that's going to make you feel more satisfied. Maybe you're feeling not so energetic and you need to bump up your carbohydrates. Maybe your fats were really, really low and it was having a negative impact on your hormones. So bumping your fats up a little bit may have an impact on your testosterone levels, your overall well-being. That is, again, extreme cases. So changing your macronutrient ratios is only going to have a benefit if you are extreme in any of the macronutrients. If you're already at a pretty moderate level, you're getting an adequate amount of each macronutrient, making subtle changes like adding 5 grams of protein or 5 grams of fat isn't going to make a big difference in your overall results while keeping calories the same. It's only if you are completely out of alignment with your macros, something is completely out of whack, you got an extreme end there, and then you make that change, yes, you may see some sort of benefits from that while keeping your calories the same, but yeah, it's mainly getting you back to a point where you should have been at a healthy level. So if everything is adequate, you're in a pretty good zone right now, changing your macronutrient ratios is a mistake if you're thinking that that is going to be a solution to help you break through this fat loss plateau. And now let's move on to mistake number 3, which is drastically reducing your calories and running yourself into the ground. I see it all too often. Fat loss stalls for my fellow men over 40. All of a sudden, they're cutting their calories by 500 more than that. Sometimes even more. They got extremely low calorie diets, and dieting in and of itself is a stress on your body. Extreme diets is an even greater stress on your body, and it's going to have some kind of defense mechanism, some protective mechanisms in your body that's going to make it more challenging for your body to, it's not going to want to let go of fat. If anything, that extra stress on your body may cause you to lose more muscle. You're going to want to pull that energy from muscle mass rather from the fat mass, because the fat can be a bit more of a protective mechanism for your body. So you want to make sure that you're doing this. If you're going to make some changes, make the less stressful changes on your body as you possibly can to kind of coax that extra fat loss to happen, rather than to try to just smash through it and blast through that plateau. You want to just coax the changes of your body. So making subtle changes rather than big drastic changes. And the other thing that happens is not only are you putting your body through greater stress, but you end up having less energy to perform your workouts and live your life to the fullest. As I mentioned with the cardio, doing more activity, when you make drastic changes to your diet, you reduce your calories drastically, you end up barely getting through your workouts, you end up barely getting through your cardio. The rest of the day, you just want to sit on your butt. So you end up, yes, you may have reduced your calories by 500, but you end up sitting more and reducing the amount of calories that you would have burned throughout the day by 500, sometimes even more. So you want to make sure that you are providing your body with the fuel to perform your best and feel your best. And you just want to make those subtle changes. What I recommend is just reducing your calories by 100 to begin with, and do that for a week or two. See how your body responds to that. It may be all that's needed to kind of just coax that fat loss along, get you out of that plateau. If you're still not quite seeing the progress that you're expecting, maybe reduce it by another 100 calories at that point. If you still aren't snapped out of your fat loss plateau, you gotta kind of look at your overall lifestyle. Like what's going on? How long have you been dieting? Is it time for a diet break at this time? Just give your mindset a nice break, give your body a nice break, get your metabolism revved up again, and then finish your cutting phase after that, and finally get lean and get shredded after 40. So again, subtle little changes. If everything else is consistent with your lifestyle, your sleep, your stress, your activity, and your fat loss has plateaued, just drop it by 100 for a couple weeks, evaluate, drop it by maybe 100 after that. If dropping it by 200 calories in total you don't see any kind of change in the scale weight still, definitely I'd say it is time for a break at that point, especially if you've been dieting for an extended period of time. You'll appreciate that break. It can be a 2-week break. It can be a month break if you want. Again, we're in this for the long term, taking a little break from this process in order to finish stronger is going to be in your best interest. So again, just evaluate the situation, but don't make drastic changes to your calories just to blast through a plateau. I hope you found these tips useful. If you did, please do me a favor and smash that thumbs up button. I'd really appreciate it. If you know a fellow bro who would benefit from watching today's video, do me a favor and share it with them. More than anything, I'd love to hear from you. Drop a comment down below, share your insights, share your thoughts, share your feedback on your own personal experiences. And before you go, don't forget to download your free guide, Jacked After 40. Have yourself an amazing day. Catch you in the next video.